Alright, so this is my second build we're looking at. It's my Thor build. Um, I call it that because it's using the Captain America's of Aegis of Menhir ability, but instead of having a shield, we're using a two-handed club, like a two-handed mace, which is about as close to a hammer as we can get. This allows us to not only use Aegis of Menhir with a two-handed weapon instead of a shield, which effectively triples the damage, because the damage is 260 to 620, and the highest damage of a shield is 188, and the average of most epic shields is about 170, 175. So this is almost triple damage, maybe more than triple damage, and it turns all the damage to cold damage. And I decided to go Archon with it because this also makes your Wind Devils permanent. So you can have permanent Wind Devils. 45% of your physical damage is cold, 15% is lightning, 45% of your lightning damage is cold damage as well. So this is the only MI I needed for this build. Everything else I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just kind of threw random things together on top of that. So there are two ways you could do this, like do a build with this. The way I did it, like you could go Primal Strike and Aegis of Menhir and just alternate those two abilities, because you'll have like it'll basically be Cold Primal Strike, but it's like melee Primal Strike. And then you have permanent Wind Devils and Guardians of Empyrean to apply debuffs, or to apply devotions as well. If you were to do that, I would go different helmet. But for this one, I went this cold helmet, which gives me an additional Guardians of Empyrean. And Avenging Shield. This gives me no bonuses for the damage, but it gives me offensive ability and pierce resistance. However, it gives me 90% weapon damage to Aegis of Menhir, which for a shield is basically just like, an extra 150 flat damage. But for this, it's like an extra 600 flat damage. That's huge. I'm not using retaliation, so retaliation is not an additional number. And then this, I don't really like this metal. I want to change it to something else, but there's not really anything better. You get 4% attack damage converted to health, but nah. These shoulders I'm going to change to something else because these turn cold damage to lightning, so I'm probably just going to use the elemental ones that turn like Aether to elemental or something like that. These are just, elemental gloves, something that gives me Raging Tempest. These are elemental boots, nothing special. This is a belt that gives Shaman and Oathkeeper, and again, no damage. So this build is lacking in percent damage. That's one of the big things right now. Eye of the Storm is helping me because it gives me the Stormcaller aura for basically the amount of damage for a belt. It also gives me the cold damage from this, so that kind of makes up for Basilisk instead of using Serenity. The pants, I wanted to use Solisle's pants, but again, I'm so short on damage, I needed the percent damage here. So I took this one. It gives me clarity of purpose, as well as the prismatic shield, which is useful. The Skytorn robes are pretty good. It's Aether to lightning damage, so that's not super helpful, but it gives me Raging Tempest. These would be really good if I was doing the variation of that used only Raging Tempest. Like it only used Wind Devil and Guardians of Empyrean to apply devotions and resistance reduction. But instead, this would also add Torrent, which is more weapon damage to your Primal Strike. These are some new rings, which are basically the exact same thing as Living Rings. They give elemental damage, health, energy regeneration, and vitality resistance. Like the exact same thing, except for 3 other different abilities. And one of those abilities is Oak Skin, which is more flat damage, which is great for this thing. Yeah, and when you look at the skills for this one, again, we go as hard as we can into Aegis of Menhir because that's more weapon damage. We go for this as much as we can because it's more targets, and as well as like a larger radius for the targets. We could probably put more points in that eventually. Reprisal, I'm not sure I want to put any more. Like, I actually kind of want to reduce points in Reprisal. The burn damage is okay. That is basically cold damage. Like, the only reason I have points in Reprisal so much right now is the chance of 100% skill cooldown. And I'm thinking of reducing it down to where it's 20%, which I think is 12. So it's like I'd save 4 points for doing that. Is that right? Yeah, 4 points. Yeah, 4 points for 20%. And then I could pump those 4 points into Guardians of Empyrean for this build. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. Virus might just a move, 1 in Tectonic Shift, just because a little bit longer range, a little bit less cooldown. I have 3 Guardians of Empyrean. They do pretty good damage because they're mostly cold damage at this point because of all the conversions. And then I get minus 26%. Yeah, eventually. Give me a second. Minus 26% elemental res here. 6 points here. I'd put more if I could. Max here. I need to put more points here. I just put a single point here for now. Should probably put, like, what is it? 6 points. Yeah, three resistance. So I put this to get offensive ability because I need offensive ability. 1 point in this. And if you look at Shaman, Shaman's just mainly focused on Wind Devil. I put 1 point in Storm Totem to proc thing. Again, 6 points here for the most efficient. And max out this for defensive ability. Storm Colors thing gives me a crap ton of cold damage, as well as physical to cold, lightning to cold, physical to lightning. And flat electrocute damage, which is nice to be added to when a lot of lightning damage is being converted to cold damage. It's really nice to being added to Avenging Shield. Well, Avenging Maul. Looking at the devotions, what I did was I did 2 tier 3s for this one. I, of course, rocked up here to get Blizzard, which I put on Storm Totem, so Storm Totem's going to be proccing Blizzard as much as it can. I used this to get the purple. Of course, I got Rumor, which I put on the shield, or I put on Aegis of Men here. I got Elemental Storm, which is on Wind Devil. And I got Blind, or Elemental Seeker, like the Blind Sage. Is so much damage now. Like, if you haven't played with the updated version, it does so much damage. And so I put this one on, what's it called? Chain Lightning, which is my my spam ability based on it. I put Seal of the Skies in that thing to have Chain Lightning, which is 50% cold damage, 50% lightning damage, or 50% of the lightning damage is cold damage, and so it's basically 75% cold damage, 25% lightning damage. And I put Guardians of Empyrean on Leviathan, like the Whirlpool. And I get this as a kind of save my butt ability. The problem is with this build is it's super squishy. It's so squishy. I use this to get tight damage to health. It will do so much damage. It's got 15k health. But it only has 8% physical res. I mean, the defenses, like the base defenses, are not bad. Like, it's got decent starting resistances for everything. Again, this is with only, well, I did put a component on here, Seal of the Skies, because that's my spam ability for this build. Like, I have to have this. But everything else, there's no components, no suffixes, no prefixes, no augments, nothing. This is very bare bone build. If I turn off Ascension kills my offensive ability. With Ascension on, I have 2,000 offensive ability. So I should probably actually reduce some of my physique and put more into Cunning for this build. Because having like 2,400 offensive ability and 2,400 defensive ability before everything is really nice. But, you know, this build is super squishy. So, and looking at where I'd go with this build, I don't know where I would go with this build. Like, I've been looking at different things. Like, I could do Morganeth set, like if I wanted to farm, like just basically do Morganeth dungeon as a boundless dungeon, just keep farming it with one of the characters. And if I did that, I'd have a lot of the Morganeth stuff. But this is one of the versions. Another version kept the chest piece and used, and like this is the helmet I want to use though. Like additional Aegis of Men here and elemental damage to Aegis of Men here, which again is 2/3 damage being turned. Like so cold and then fire to lightning. Or fire to cold. Yeah, again, I'm not sure about what I want with this. Still using this because this is the best necklace in the game. I'm not sure if I'm really willing to farm this for this build, but we'll see. I mean, the Tomb of Morganeth or whatever is my favorite dungeon, so Boundless version of that I'm probably going to farm a lot. Still using Eye of the Storm. It gives me lightning retaliation, so I mean I will have some retaliation to add to the Aegis of Men here. And again, still this shitty thing. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that. Skills don't really change much. Again, I've still got so many points into this, and probably shouldn't. I still don't have enough points in this. Still don't have enough points in this. Shaman is really focusing on this. I put less points into Oak Skin here. So I should probably put a few more points into this because I'm offensive ability shy. And the other ones are the same. But anyway, so that's my Thor build that I'm thinking about doing for this upcoming thing. And there's one more.